Adrian, just to say, firstly, thanks very much for doing this. I'm going to share this on a number of different platforms, and there's still a load of interest in you here in Wales. As you
Really?
know, yeah,
Oh,
people are
wow.
excited about me
Yeah,
being able to talk to you. As I can hear from your accent, which actually surprised me a little bit, you grew
yeah,
up originally in the northwest, didn't you, of the UK before Australia? People over
that's
here
correct.
as being
Yeah,
Australian, you know.
yeah. I was in Preston,
Mm,
and they told me Willie Cunningham. Actually, he was a Scottish international,
mm.
um, and he played left back for Scotland and also for Preston North End. And I think I was about 16 at the time, and I was an amateur in the youth grade, not
Mm.
a not a not a professional player or anything like that. I was playing as an amateur, and he says, "You're a bit small. We don't think you'll make it." My eldest brother Alec played with Tom Finney during that time. He was
Wow.
a striker as well,
Mm.
and they said, you're not going to make it because of your size wise. It looks like you're always going to end up like this." So by the time Jimmy Kelly saw me, from ex Blackpool player and B international for England, he saw me playing and he says, "Come to Fleetwood." I played for them for 4 weeks, and he said to me, "Come on, we'll go to Australia now." And I said, "Why would I go to Australia?" And he said, "Because the grounds are hard and you like to run with the ball."
Mm.
Because obviously in Britain at the time the grounds were bloody awful
Yes,
and
of
everything
course.
like
Yes.
that. So anyhow, it's
Mm.
a short story. And then Bobby Charlton tried to sign me after the World Cup
Yeah,
for Preston North End.
I know. Yeah, it's
Uh,
right. I mean, I went through your history last night, and it's an amazing story. I learned so much about you, actually. But
Thank you.
yeah, the Bobby Charlton, of course, Bobby Charlton quite unwell at the moment, isn't he?
Yes,
Yeah, which is
dementia, is it?
yeah, looks like
Yeah.
that it is. Yeah. So if this place called Fleetwood in Australia at the time, of course, like me or anyone
No,
else.
Fleetwood in Blackpool,
Oh,
near
Fleetwood and
Blackpool.
Blackpool. Okay, but
Yeah,
sorry, from Jimmy Kelly for Fleetwood.
he was he was coaching them
Yeah.
in the Lancashire Combination League or
Wow.
whatever it was.
Yeah.
And he says, "Come on," and straight away, I was on £5 a week, I remember,
Hmm.
and then he said, "In Australia, I can get you £30 a week
Oh, there you
straight
go.
away."
Job done.
And so I spoke to my girlfriend, and I just said, "I'll go for 6 months," and
Hmm.
then within months, I got picked for New South Wales, and she
Yes.
came over, and
Hmm.
she was going to stay for 6 months with me, and then we go home. Well, by the end of the season, I'm being picked for Australia. So she didn't see her family for 6 years.
Wow. Was Jimmy Kelly? Was he going? He was moving out there at the same time as you, or did he just recommend that you went to?
He was offered to coach there again. He'd already been across there
Hmm.
coaching.
Hmm.
So with South Coast United, wonderful spot where I still live here now.
Hmm.
And he said, "You'll like the place," and everything like that. So he came, brought me over, and then obviously he was expecting me to just go home as well. But as I
Hmm.
say,
You're
the
banging the goals
international
in.
football, the international football was a bit of a plus. Yeah.
Yeah. How did you get to be? I mean, how did you so quickly then qualify to play for Australia in that way?
Well, it's Australia and England at that time. They were just very close and
Hmm.
stuff like that. And we had quite a number of people who went over in the coal mines and the steelworks and different situations.
Hmm.
So it was just a matter of, I suppose, how good are you? And then I had a passport and a citizenship before I could blink.
Wow.
I came back from playing against, I think it was South Korea or something. We're overseas. I arrived back at the airport. South Korea put a complaint in about my passport. I was still on a British passport, and I
Hmm.
jumped off the plane in Australia on the way back, and there was my Australian one and a
Wow.
citizenship and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that at the time? So, if inverted commas, of becoming Australian or,
Yeah.
or acquiring an Australian status.
Yeah. Well, my first game for Australia, we were playing at the Sydney Cricket Ground, which
Hmm.
is obviously the biggest ground at that time.
Huge. Yeah.
Uh, and we played against Greece. And two weeks
Yes.
before 2 weeks before Greece made a
Hmm.
draw with England,
Hmm.
and I'll never forget the coach. He was Hungarian, and everybody called him Uncle Joe. He was a lovely, lovely gentleman. And when he read the team sheet out, I'd been with the team all week, and I didn't expect to be starting. And then we had this practice match, and I scored quite a few goals. And so he read the team out, and I was last, number 11. And when he said, "How do you feel, young man?" I said, "I suppose that's my England career fucked up."
Yes.
That was it.
And it certainly was, yeah.
Yeah. So everybody started laughing and everything, but
Yeah.
I was serious.
Yeah.
They thought I was joking. I can't play for England now because in football, it's not like these other sports, these toy sports, the rugby union and all this. I shouldn't say that in Wales.
No, I agree with you, by the way.
But, you know, they can play for a number of countries. They just sort of change over. But anyway,
with football,
that
it's
was
a bit different.
it was wonderful for me to be able to do that and then make the World Cup, and obviously eventually Cardiff City as well, and the other clubs I went to. You know.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, it's a fantastic story. One of the players that comes up, Attila Abonyi, is that how you pronounce his name? And I know you're saying what an awesome player he was. I think he was involved in the match. Was he involved in the match? Did you score in that game? Your first game?
He scored. We won 1-0 against Greece, and he scored. He was my roommate every time I played for Australia, and he was my club mate after I was playing down here on the South Coast, and then St. George in Sydney, St. George Budapest, again, Hungarian background club. They bought me, and then we became prolific goal scorers. We won everything with the club, and also, you know, with quite a few others from that club who were internationals. So after I got picked for New South Wales, they sort of chased me. That club chased me to sign for them, and then follow on to the many national games and stuff. You know.
Yeah, you immediately started scoring goals then, but you were still quite young, weren't you? When I say you were only really a kid when you went out
19.
there.
Yeah, I was 19. Yeah, but I was 5'4", and so when I got picked for New South Wales, I sort of, and in them days you didn't live together; it was a no-no. So I wrote to my wife's father, and I asked him if we could get married, and so we got married, and everything turned out okay. You know, it was just wonderful experience and everything.
That's Doreen, of course.
Doreen, I've got a Welsh daughter as well, and she's still Welsh. She still is not naturalised. My daughter,
born in Cardiff, obviously.
Yeah, just outside. Yeah.
Wow, wonderful. The getting into the World Cup finals, and you know, heading from like 1974 and whatever, and in that amazing group with not just Chile and not just East Germany, but also West Germany, which of course filters through this story because one of the characters in the West German side became a bit of a role model for you. What was that like for you? What was that like as an experience anyway? You know, it must be incredible.
It's amazing. It's when I got back, it was then I realised what I'd just been through, because I've always been one that don't get overexcited, you know, with who I'm playing against or whatever my teammates. Because I always thought I'm okay, I can manage with whoever. I felt comfortable doing that, you know. So it was when we came back and we realised we'd just played against the world champions, the whole world, 220 odd countries, whatever it was. And I swapped shirts with the captain of the world champions. And also I was picked as one of the best players in that game from the French newspaper, where they used to put the votes in. And then I didn't realise the other game in East Germany, I got a couple of points for that one as well. So it was like, you're one of the better ones in the group. And it was the hardest group because East Germany were the only team to beat West Germany. And Chile, we played against Chile as well. What a group. I have to just switch this phone off. Somebody's trying to get me. It keeps dinging.
Sounds like my alarm clock.
And it's somebody saying, I'm just watching a documentary on ESPN. And it's about the bloody American where I was playing. I was on there.
Okay.
Amazing. Yeah.
That's the way. The obviously the picture which grabbed me straight away was that lovely picture of you walking off the pitch with Franz Beckenbauer, you know, kind of side by side.
Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah, because there was three of us in that picture. I don't know whether you only saw 2 in that.
There's only
picture
2 that I saw, I think, in the close-up. Maybe.
Well, as it's widened,
Mm.
the captain of Australia then, Peter Wilson, he
Mm.
was showing his shirt, holding it up, and trying to get Beckenbauer's shirt. And Beckenbauer said, "Fuck off! I'll swap it with him. He's the best player." That's only my story. Sorry, no more swearing now. But honestly,
Yeah.
I'd already fixed it up
Mm.
because we went to the game, and
Yeah.
as we arrived by coach
Mm.
in Hamburg, and all their team is warming up already, and I was always a bit of a joker on the bus and the sing along type of thing, and so I said, they're going to be knackered by the time we start. I said, we'll be all right today. So anyway, as we're all walking in, I walked across to where they were warming up,
Yeah.
and I saw Franz Beckenbauer, who I'd appreciated before from living in England, and I watched him in the World Cup and stuff like that.
Awesome
Absolutely awesome
Mm.
player,
Mm.
the best in the world defender,
Yeah.
and an absolute gentleman too. So anyhow, I walked up and I said, I'll swap shirts with you after the game. And he looked at me like, who the hell's this? Like, cheeky little bugger. And he goes, what number are you? I said, don't worry, I'll be next to you all day. And after the game, yeah, sure as hell, we swapped. He actually swapped again when we played in America. And he was New York Cosmos, and I was with the Tampa Bay Rowdies.
Yeah, that's right.
We beat them. We beat them as well, and so it was nice. It was nice to swap after.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of did everything, because I mean, as I just turned on my light on, it's just still relatively cold and dark and early here. When I remember, I'm a lifelong Cardiff City supporter, obviously, and I actually launched the Cardiff City phone in, so a little bit of an obsessive sort of thing. But I know you as Adrian Alston, the Cardiff City player, and you still got, probably because because of the Australian thing, you have that legendary status, and that's how I kind of know you. But only looking into your stuff last night, I realized I vaguely remember you went out to the States, but looking at the details on it was really interesting. One of the things that you're credited with inventing is the Cruyff turn.
Yeah, 5 days before.
Did you?
I did it 5 days before in the World Cup, and thought no more about it. And then I have many a joke after that, but it's just Cruyff turn, because he was playing for the Netherlands, and they nearly won the World Cup, and you're a big player already. Whereas Australia, nobody knew who we were, and so for me to do it at that time, you're sort of non-existent, which is a bit sad, because I did it first, and he must have been in his bloody bedroom watching it on TV and thinking, I can do that. And so he's ended up. It's just, but even in Australia, because at that time the media wasn't very big. It was ABC, and then a couple of newspapers, ABC TV, and a couple of newspapers, and it just wasn't big at the time. Otherwise, it would have been made a great deal of.
Was it because is the sports coverage? Was it mostly Aussie rules kind of soccer stuff there?
Aussie rules in Victoria.
Yeah.
New South Wales is rugby league.
Okay.
I mean, and we sort of, the World Cup team, we sort of put the football on the map here. From then on, at least it's gone on and on a bit. We've got National League, and teams have won the Asia Cup and stuff like that. So we've had many players going overseas. Probably not playing at the highest level, but there's a few half decent players.
We had Tony Vidmar at one stage at Cardiff. Yeah,
Tony Vidmar,
decent player.
Yeah, of course.
So I love that thing about the Cruyff turn. That's fantastic. That the Alston turn. That's what national.
Have you watched it?
I'll always know it. That
have you watched it?
You do.
There you go.
The Cruyff one.
They put it up together with the two of us.
Oh, have they? No, I haven't seen them together. No.
It's on. I think it's on Twitter or whatever it was on.
Okay.
And it shows us at the exact speed, at the exact spots, and it was identical. Just
really?
Completely.
Wow.
The only difference was the stopper for East Germany, who was one of the best stoppers in the world at that time when they played West Germany. Gerd Muller never touched the bloody ball, but he just dragged me down straight away when I got past him, whereas Cruyff managed to get away, so it looked a bit more special for him.
I'll have to check that out. No, I've never seen that. I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
The other person who comes up with a big mention is it's Rasic, the
Rasic,
Australian. But I assume it comes across from what I can see as a bit of a character.
He is. He's very loyal. He, in fact, he rang me. I think it was on the 13th of this month, and he said, "Just a reminder, Noddy." Everybody calls me Noddy here from my heading ability.
Okay.
And that was Otti Abonyi, my roommate, who started that in 1969, and it's carried on ever since over here. But anyway, he rang me up and he said, "Noddy," he said, "I'm just reminding you, 47 years ago, we qualified for the World Cup in Hong Kong. We beat South Korea 1-0.
Lovely.
So he rings all his players and stuff and everything like that. He's 85 now, maybe 86.
Wow.
Yeah.
What nationality was he originally?
He was Croatian, on the border of Croatia, and I think it's Croatian. One of them, anyhow, Macedonian, Croatian, whatever it was, on the border. He's Australian. He just tells everybody, "I'm Australian." That's it. And I do too, because when I put that shirt on for the first time against Greece, it was just so special. I mean, as soon as I pulled it over my head, I just felt something, and I thought, "That's it. That's it." You know, and I always say to people now, the only thing English about me is my accent. Because I came here 52 years ago, and I've been married. I came here 53 years ago. Yeah, 69, and is that right? I came 68, 52 years ago. 52. It's 53 years, and I've been married. I've been married 52 years as well. So so I feel Australian. I'm an Australian. Yeah.
Then when you went back to the UK, like you said, you nearly went back to Preston, and Bobby Charlton would have been heavily involved then, wouldn't he, at the time?
Yeah, they were third division at the time, though, and so after the World Cup, you were sort of thinking, I want to play in the big time. You know, I want to play in the big time, and if I had my time over again, quite honestly, I wouldn't have ended up at Luton Town. I probably wouldn't have ended up at Cardiff, because 3 German clubs came after me. They just won the World Cup.
Yes.
England didn't even qualify.
Yes.
And Franz Beckenbauer said to me when he saw me in America after that, he said, "Just tell me why you went back to England." And I went, "Well, probably my wife's family was still there. My parents were still there as well. But for football's sake and playing at the highest level, I probably should have signed for either Hamburg or Hertha Berlin. Eintracht Frankfurt was after me as well.
3 massive clubs.
Yes, yeah. And Beckenbauer said, England didn't even qualify. Nobody knows who you are in England because you live in Australia. And he said, and everybody in Germany knows who you are. He said, you'd have been a star without even trying, you know. But that's life.
Any regrets on that now?
No, because my son's Australian, a wonderful man. He has triplets who are now 17 years old. And one of them is in the young lady. She's in the Australian Ballet. She lives in Melbourne. She left home at 15. She just was selected and she just left and took it in her stride. Who's a shy little girl and everything. And she's in big time in the Australian Ballet. And his 2 boys play representative football under 18s for the Illawarra in the New South Wales League. See, Australia's a big country. If we say New South Wales, we're talking it's a big travel, you know, to play your games and stuff like that. Very big country. So they play rep football. My daughter, I wouldn't have had my son if I didn't. He was already born. My son was already born in Australia, but I wouldn't have had my daughter who was born in Wales. So I wouldn't have had a Welsh daughter. So no, I am quite happy that we came to Cardiff.
Yeah, that's a great answer, actually. Because that's incredible, though. I mean, that World Cup really. I mean, it totally kind of made you, didn't it? Really, it was a real big breakthrough, wasn't it? I mean, look at wow.
Yeah. I was already doing well, you know, with club football here and playing playing, international football and stuff like that.
Hmm.
However, when I after the World Cup and it was in it, I was the only player who was bought by overseas. I was the first Australian to play in European football with Cardiff City, first one to score in Europe, first one score a hat-trick in the FA Cup, whatever game that was, 3 headers I think it was, playing for Cardiff and all the other things. Yeah, you have quite a few firsts. So it's I was very proud, to play for Cardiff. I was accepted, many friends and my wife loved it. My wife loved Cardiff. So a little bit disappointed that they sold me. And Jimmy Andrews in the book after said didn't really suit me playing in England. I don't know why the statement was made. I thought it suited me quite well.
It's not my recollection.
We had a lovely house, which we bought and built from sort of scratch there. We met somebody in a pub, started talking away, and next minute, I said, I'm looking for a house. He said, I'm just building one. So then we took it from there. And we were the only house in the street with a glass shower and all that, because in Australia it's all showers, but in Britain at that time it was everybody had a bath.
Yeah.
But I hate bloody baths, what did this? So I had this shower built and all the different, a separate laundry. Of course, in Australia, you have separate laundries and stuff. I mean, Britain's changing now. It's just amazing what we've got now.
Yeah.
But, no, it was a wonderful experience for me at Cardiff, and I was well appreciated, and I made many friends. The biggest one being John Antrobus. He lives in Dinas Powys still. I lived in Dinas Powys, and we used to have a beer at the Star.
Oh yeah, I know Star. Yeah.
He was a wonderful man, and when I was in America, he came out to see me there as well when I was living in Florida. So nice memories.
Yeah, great, good. I'm glad. It's nice to hear you saying that, because say you thought of really positively at that time. It's weird. Like, I kind of don't understand that comment from Jimmy Andrews. But before you came to Cardiff, obviously you nearly went back to Preston, but then you went to Luton. So what was your kind of recollection of Luton? How did that work out for you? You did quite well, I think, didn't you?
Yeah, I'd already played against Luton. We had a world tour with the Australian team when Rasic took over. 1971, I think it was. Malcolm McDonald was playing for Luton Town. So on our journeys, we went to 13 different countries, getting ready to start the World Cup campaign, because we had to go through 15 games to qualify for the World Cup. Oceania now, the Asia group now, I think it has 5 qualifiers. In our time, it was 1. But we also had to go to the Middle East. We had to go to Asia. We had to go Oceania. All those groups, we had to beat the best of.
Yeah.
Whereas now, you just need to be in the top 2 in your group, and you qualify. So it's far easier now. So anyway, we went on that world tour, and one of the games we played Luton Town. Malcolm McDonald was playing, and we beat them 2-1. I scored the winner, and Harry Haslam was the manager at the time. And he shook my hands after the game, congratulated me, blah, 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 blah. So after the World Cup, obviously, Donny Shanks, actually, who played for Luton, he came over to Australia and played a few guest games for somebody. So next minute, we sort of got to be, I'd say, fairly close friends. While he was here, welcomed him to the club or the area sort of thing, not to the club. He wasn't playing for my club, but I don't know whether he said something to Luton Town, to Harry or something. But anyhow, they came chasing me, and so they made me the offer. And again, it's from before. I was thinking about my family, my wife's family, and stuff like that. The language barrier, which could have created for going to Germany for my wife and stuff.
Yeah.
But it was okay. I finished top scorer, only 8, I think it was, but I think I only played 21 games. I got injured a bit, and Harry sort of had his way of doing things. They put me through a rigorous pre-season training when I'd already just played in the World Cup. I was sharp. I played against the best in the world, and they have me running 10 miles, and my pace sort of went. But at the time, it was the start of the season, and the grounds were quite firm. The grounds were okay. And I'm used to having firm grounds and being able. I used to run with the ball a lot, have a dribble, and do a few things on my own. So anyway, we started playing and played against Arsenal. I got man of the match in that game, and hit the post, scored, and made one, and everything. I had a really good game. I scored about 4 goals in 5 games, 6 games. And next minute he left me out. He said things are happening too fast. I said, I've just been to the bloody World Cup and played against the best in the world. I'm not bothered about playing against pommies. Don't worry about English people. England didn't even qualify. I'm not bothered about playing in the English first division, So anyway, we had a bit of a thing there, and it was sort of a in and out role. Played against Trevor Francis, Birmingham. I got 2. We won that game. I scored a couple of crackers against them and stuff. I could cope, but obviously it was hard. Luton, nice, and again, always had nice teammates and stuff like that, and wonderful people. But you're playing against the best in England, and you're the worst in England, the bottom 3. So you don't get much of the ball up front.
Okay,
it's not like you're attacking all day, is it? So it's difficult to get many chances.
This was in the top division then, was it, in those days?
Top division, Luton, yeah, that was it.
Wow, I can't. Okay.
Yeah.
So that makes more sense. So were they only at the top for one season, Luton?
Yes.
Yeah.
We went down to the second division, and they still owed me part of my signing on fee on the second season. They couldn't pay and stuff, so we went down into the second division, and then Cardiff City for some reason came in, and it happened very quickly.
What was the initial contact with Cardiff City? How did you become aware of that? So did you have agents at that time? I don't know.
No, not at all. I wish I did, because in America, when I went there, after I'd signed on for 3 years and stuff like that, Rodney Marsh and George Best's agent, and I met them. Of course, you play against them, but Rodney Marsh was my teammate. Rodney Marsh, he played for England, and we got to be very, very good friends. And his agent said, "How long have you signed for?" 3 years. He said, "Come and see me then." He said, "You're on probably half the money you could have got. Could have got a lot more and stuff like that."
Yeah.
And we didn't have agents. I went to Cardiff, but I was more than happy to just play. I mean, playing in Australia, you weren't really on good money and stuff like that, because it was sort of semi-pro at the time and stuff. International football, you didn't get paid for. You just got sort of appearance money to cover your time off and stuff like that. So I'd have done it all again. Don't worry about that. Money wasn't the key.
No, there's more important things than money, aren't there?
Yeah.
Just to say about Rodney Marsh and George Best, right? So I think I saw Rodney Marsh play once, I think, again at Ninian in an England game, and I saw George Best playing against City for Fulham. But as individuals,
I played against him.
Exactly.
I was in that game.
Oh, did you? Okay, yeah.
I was in that game. I was in that game. Yeah. And Bobby Moore. Bobby Moore played as well.
Yeah, Bobby Moore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any kind of thoughts on them as kind of players, and then kind of what they're all about, sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean,
aren't they really?
As I said, I've never been overawed by playing alongside somebody or against somebody. I've never really. It's only after when you realise who you've actually and what you've actually done. Like playing. The biggest thing, obviously, is the World Cup of anything. Of anything, it's absolutely the epitome. So to come back and think that you've done really well against the best in the world, it's nice. It's nice to have that, for after. So same playing alongside them, playing against Georgie Best, Gordon Banks, all of them there who were, in America at the time. Brazil's World Cup captain and all of them. They were wonderful players over there at that time in America too.
Yeah. What was Rodney Marsh like as a character then, Adrian?
He was a character. Yeah. We went to play in London. I can't think who were playing. Queen's Park Rangers were playing against. So we were taking off and no, sorry. I have to go back here. Rodney Marsh, we're in America and we were going from Tampa to, I think, Boston. So Rodney Marsh is in his suit as we all were quite tidy and stuff like that. And his toothbrush is sticking out of his top pocket. That was it. We all take a bag and a change of clothes. Rodney Marsh, toothbrush sticking out the top pocket in his suit at the airport. That's it. He was just, but I think he was good at playing people as well, Rodney Marsh. He was a lad, and he drew the attention by some of the things he did. He did them in a very subtle way.
Yeah, a very flamboyant character, you know, coming across.
Yeah, but a lovely man. Yeah, he came around to my place with his family, and you know, around the swimming pool, and his daughter used to play with my daughter. I mean, my daughter was only a bit of a baby, but Rodney Marsh's daughter probably was about, I don't know then, 8, 9, something. But yeah, it was nice.
And George Best, did you get to know George Best at all? Did you come across him much? Played against him, of course.
Yeah, socialised after. Yeah, but you know, he's another. Yeah, he was George Best, wasn't he? What can you do? You sort of met many people along the way and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's great though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was good. It was good. It was same at Cardiff. I mean, I've enjoyed wherever I've been, but Cardiff had something special for me. As I say, my daughter was born there, but I don't know what it was. They just had that rapport. The crowd. You know, I met some really close friends. As I say, you know, John Antrobus will forever be in my heart. You know what I mean? And he still lives in Dinas Powys, and he was wonderful. Every Tuesday evening, he used to come round and babysit for us. And my wife and I, we'd drive into the country, because when we used to go into Cardiff, you didn't get any peace. It was you'd get, you know, hit by everybody surrounded. So it was a bit difficult to go out with your wife. And it was wonderful to think that you know, people had that admiration for you.
Yeah, I think I suppose, I don't know, maybe all clubs are like it, but I mean, lots of players who've been to Cardiff. I mean, I'm biased. I'm Cardiff born. It's my club, but it just feels to me like a lot of players come to Cardiff and they pick up on that kind of affinity with the fans. Because again, we talked about rugby earlier, and everybody talks about Wales, and you know, Wales is a rugby country, la 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 la. But I think maybe that's possibly one of the reasons why the Cardiff City fans are particularly passionate, because they try to kind of put that one to bed a bit, and they make a bit of a fuss of their players, don't they?
They do. And when the Australian team came over after, I was playing for Cardiff at the time, and I think I'd just broken my foot against Queen's Park Rangers in the FA Cup, I think it was. And I went down, I think they were playing in Birmingham, the Australian team. It's amazing, after the World Cup, when I left, the Australian team didn't bring anybody. Well, I was the only one who played in different countries. They didn't bring me back. So I missed all those internationals for a number of years until the 78 World Cup. So in 77, after they've lost 3 games in the qualifiers, they bring me back. Well, they should have been bringing me back for all the games, but it's costly. It's very costly. So anyhow, the Australian team were on another tour, and it was 1975, maybe 76 at Cardiff. And I went to Birmingham, and I brought Otti Abonye back with me. And all the others went to London and went home, and he stayed in Cardiff. And he was supposed to be, you know, 24 hours, but he met all these supporters. So the first night, he ended up staying at somebody else's house. He didn't even stay with me because they made such a fuss of him. He loved it. You know, there you go. Like you said, it's
brilliant. Brilliant. That's a lovely story. What was Jimmy Andrews like when you first met him? Because he did okay, actually. He did well. Obviously, that got City promoted, didn't he, as well? What was he like as a character?
I thought he was wonderful. To this day, I still think he's wonderful. It was only the book after he's died, and some statement was in there about why they sold me to America, because the British game didn't suit me or something. I can honestly say in the dead of winter, when it's muddy and everything like that, and that's where I had problems at Luton Town. Their pitch is like a sandbog, and I couldn't get going. So you can't show your true skills, but maybe some statement was taken wrong, or somebody's put it wrong, but we got on tremendously well, and I admired the way he coached and stuff like that. He had great tactics, especially when, for example, we would play away and we played against Malcolm Allison's team, which was Crystal Palace.
Palace, yeah.
And I think they were slightly above us or whatever. We had to win the game. I know that. And we did. I scored again. We won 1-0. And Malcolm Allison was on TV. He said, if they beat us, I'll eat my hat. And he used to work for Dor.
Yeah, that one, yeah.
There you go. Well, we beat them 1-0 and I scored. And Jimmy Andrews, we played that day without any strikers at all. Tony Evans played on the right wing and I played on the left wing. And everybody else just tucked into central midfield. So they weren't allowed out from the fullback position, just down the middle. And they were running into a crowd of midfielders. Not just two, we had like 5 in there.
Yeah.
Willie Anderson dropped back, the right winger dropped back, and Tony Evans pushed to the right, I pushed to the left, and that was it. And from there, we got breakaways, and then next minute, I popped in the winner. So he was smart. He was very
clever
smart.
Tactically, yeah, really clever tactically, isn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
So
you mentioned a couple of them already, but I wanted to talk to you about a couple of City players because a couple of things with that era. One is I was a young teenager at the time, and maybe that's because I was a young teenager at the time, but it's one of my favorite eras of Cardiff City. One of the things I loved about it is that fabulous kit. It's always been my favorite.
Loved it.
Favorite City kit. All the City fans, why didn't they ever bring that kit back? Everybody loves that kit. I think the away kit was the yellow one, wasn't it? Was pretty smart too. But other players who were with you at that time, there's a couple I wanted to mention. Firstly, you've mentioned him already, Willie Anderson as a player, pretty decent player, wasn't he?
Wonderful winger, ideal for somebody like me who could head the ball, and he was great. And he used to take off and be able to clip that on the back post and stuff like that. Tony Evans, completely different player to me. He was not a good header of a ball. Well, he just wasn't there for them. He was always on the first post, and he was like lightning and stuff like that. You
and Tony Evans, Adrian, I think that's one of the classic. That's one of the classic upfront partnerships. The Alston and Evans partnership.
Yes, I've got a T-shirt now. Barry Jones bloody brought it back from Wales. They're still selling them. They're still selling them. 76. It says 76. Alston and Evans, the perfect partnership or something. Whatever.
I'm going to buy one of those. I didn't know there was one of those knocking about.
He brought it for me. Yeah, I've got it, and it's so nice. Yeah, but there's many players. I mean, there's Dougie Livermore.
Yeah,
and wonderful man as well. Great player. Mike England, Welsh captain, played all for Tottenham. And you're talking about big players here. Closest to me. The players who I probably knocked around with more than the others was Clive Charles and Ron Healy, and both passed away.
So Ron Healy, I was going to ask you about Ron Healy because it was very sad. A few years back now, wasn't it? Ron Healy, one of my favorite ever Cardiff City goalkeepers. He just seemed immense. He was just in control.
He was lovely. Fantastic, good man, and again, they're nice people. But I have to mention Phil Dwyer as well. I thought the underrated player. He had it all. And he played for Wales, of course. But they were all wonderful players, all of them. There's Albert Lamore there. There's Freddie Pethar. There's the other Scottish lad, the midfielder. It's Johnny
Buchanan.
Whatever his name. Yeah. John Buchanan. Time after time, these players, we had a good team. I was quite surprised when I arrived and we were in 13th place or something. And I'm thinking, why? And I was so lucky too, because that first game I played and I scored after early minutes. Clive Charles has hit a ball from the back and I've chested it, swiveled, volleyed before it hit the ground. And the goalkeeper's still looking for it. It was a great start to do. Yeah. And then I scored another one and I made one for Tony Evans. So we sort of hit it off. And I think that was a great start for me and the crowd,
Clive Charles ended up in America as well, didn't he?
He did. And he coached their national team in the Olympic Games.
Wow.
He coached in the
Olympic
Games.
Didn't know that.
He did. He coached the soccer team at the Olympic Games in Australia, and I went to Canberra to where he was staying and stuff like that. I went out to see him. Yeah.
You could say he passed away as well, didn't he, old Clive?
Yeah.
John Buchanan. When we think about John Buchanan, Cardiff City players, we think about that thunderous shot, that ridiculous free kick against Swansea from 35 yards, which goes back a yard every time we talk about it. But he was a good decent player as well, wasn't he?
Wonderful player, and I used to get the shits many times with him because he loved Willie Anderson. So whichever way he was facing, he'd turn and give it to him. Long ball, Willie. He did. He used to feed him like mad. But then again, Willie Anderson was good when he got the ball. He'd get to the byline and made many goals for us. But,
Willie ended up in America as well, didn't he? I think.
I don't know.
I think so. I thought he did, because he came to us. He played for Man United, hadn't he? He played Manchester United, didn't he?
Yes, of course.
So he's a very top quality player. Phil Dwyer, by the way, my all-time favourite Cardiff City player, Phil Dwyer. Full stop. Just my all-time favourite.
Well, there you are. I mentioned him, and I thought he was the great all-round player. He could do anything great, strong, physically, could head, could do anything. He was an ideal man to have with your team. You know, you always want somebody like that to be in your 11 all the time. Yeah.
And he played, was it 560 or 570 or some ridiculous amount of games, didn't he? In the end for Cardiff, because he got the all-time record. Nearly died on the pitch later on, and then just an absolute legend. And at that time, Brian Clark, I guess, was more of a fringe player because he was getting on a bit by that stage, was he?
Yes, yeah. He'd sort of just backed off a little bit. I played a couple of games with him. We played together against Swansea, I think it was, at Swansea in a League Cup or FA Cup.
They were also always interesting games.
I scored 2 there.
Yeah.
I scored 2. And Jimmy Smith was the coach. And after I tore my cruciate ligament in America, I ended up back in England for a short while. We were staying with my wife's parents, and he rang me and he wanted to sign me. I'm trying to think who he was with at the time. I can't think which club he was with, but I had to try and explain to him that I've torn my cruciate ligament. I went to Harley Street in London, and he said, "You're finished." That was it. So I had to leave America, leave the house. You know, we had no, I didn't want to stay there anyhow. Eventually I just come back to Australia because for the sake of, my family and the lifestyle. Yes.
I think that happened to Jeff Hammerman, I think, in his last game for Cardiff. We were playing away at Bristol Rovers, I think it was, in a game which we didn't even need to win. He went into a clash with the keeper, and that was it. He was done. It was the end of his career.
Easily done. And the insurance in them days, Tampa Bay Rowdies paid me out. I had 8 months to go on my contract. They just paid me. That was it. Finish. You know, they had the insurance money, but as individuals, unless you were paying for your own insurance, it was non-existent then. The club was the beneficiaries, not the actual player. Whereas nowadays, if it was your first season and you're finished, you'd be laughing for the rest of your life financially. But as I said, money wasn't the issue with me. It probably should be now that I'm getting old, that you don't have much.
Yeah, I think you do. I think you're doing okay. You're living in a wonderful place in a great climate, and
I have a magic family. I have to turn everything back to my wife. You can imagine, like, first of all, she starts in Australia. She never sees her family again for 6 years. Then all of a sudden, we move to Luton Town, which is a long way from Preston. So you can't just zip up and down to there.
No.
And even a situation, I said to Harry Haslam, we were playing at Liverpool. So I said, is it okay if I follow the bus with my wife because she's never driven in England? And he goes, no. So that was it. So I jumped on the bus. She took off, trying to follow the bus towards Liverpool and then turn off to go to Preston. Well, it's a difficult situation. What a life. And next minute, we get transferred to Cardiff. And I just said to her, come on, we're moving. So off she goes. Then we go, America. Come on, off we go. Then we go back to England. Then all these things back to Australia. But all she's done is just supported me in any way whatsoever, and she was a bit of an athlete when she was in Preston.
Yeah.
She was a runner. She was a runner and quite good. She ran for Lancashire, but she gave everything away just to follow me to Australia and then around the world. So she's been my the strength for me to be able to do my things. And she's still here, and we have a wonderful family. Lots of the kids are fantastic, and the grandkids, but she's made it that way, not me. I was never home.
Yeah, great that you recognise that, though. That's 50 years of marriage is not to be sniffed at. That's quite significant.
52, yeah.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Coming back down to my level, which is Cardiff City. Tony Evans, I think he was scoring like 20 odd goals a season and whatever. And how did you and Tony sort of work on that relationship? Did it just come naturally? You just seemed to kind of bounce off each other really well, you know?
It happened, right from the beginning, because as I said, that first game I played, and I managed to score a couple myself, but I just broke away down the right, and I just played it across the face of the goal, just along the 6-yard box. He was there before, 10 minutes before. He's thinking before me that I'm going to probably get to the byline. He'd already thought that out. I'm going to get on the end of this and stuff like that. The only situation with him was I made him a heap of goals, knocking them down, passing to him. He never made me one.
Fair enough. Because he's a tiny guy, wasn't he? Quite a small guy, wasn't he? But
but he was strong. He was very strong. I'm 6 foot, or I was, probably a bit shorter now. Tony would be 5'9", something like that.
Okay.
But he was strong.
Yeah.
Very, very much. Yeah. Strong and quick, and his first touch was lovely as well. He was good.
He came from Blackpool, I think, to Cardiff, if I remember. I think that's right.
So.
And he kind of, his best days really as a footballer were pretty well with Cardiff. That's where he scored all the goals. But do you remember the Tony Evans song? No, Tony Evans Walks on Water. Do you remember that one?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
I only remember mine. Alston, Alston, the other side. And Tony Evans Walks on Water.
There's a fantastic atmosphere in that ground on occasions, wasn't there?
Yeah. Oh, it was lovely. I loved it before, and they all used to play I Believe in Miracles. The song as we walked out, that's what they would play. I remember it so well. As soon as we ran out onto the home ground, yeah.
So I mean, I went there before it was knocked down, when it was being knocked down, and sort of took some shots. It was really sad seeing that place being ripped apart. I don't have the same affinity with the new stadium, to be honest. It's just another concrete stadium, but Ninian Park was kind of special, You're famous for that very cheeky, audacious, trying to score from kickoff moment.
Yes.
Was that purely just off the,
No, I've done it before.
Oh, okay.
Australia.
Yeah,
I've done it before. Yeah. The only problem was it went over the bar. I hit it too hard. It just bounced over the. It didn't bounce. It didn't bounce. It just clipped the top of the crossbar, I think. But I could see him. He was just bending down, doing something, and I just looked up and I said to Evo, "Just give it. Just put it there. Just knock it now." And I was like, "Hurry up! Just take the bloody kick. Then I can do it now." So it was good.
They raved about that one on TV for ages. Didn't they? Yeah.
Match of the day.
I was talking about that. Of course, you won I think when you were at City, you won the Welsh Cup, got promoted, and you said played in the Cup Winners' Cup. And was that the first time you played in the Cup Winners' Cup? I can't remember for Cardiff. Were you the first person to score in the Cup Winners' Cup? Did you say?
I was the first Australian player to score in Europe. First Aussie.
Oh wow! What a great thing that is.
First Aussie to be transferred for money. First Aussie to I got a hat trick in the FA Cup of headers. So I can't think who we played against, but anyway, I did, and that was the news all round with Match of the Day saying hat tricks of the day and all this. So it was it was good. But when we played Dynamo Tbilisi, who I think they got beat in the final by Liverpool or something. You were talking about a wonderful team. Fantastic. And we beat them 1-0 at Cardiff, and I scored a cracker from outside the box. And it was, they're great memories to look back and think they're good achievements, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I really miss those days when we used to win the Welsh Cup and then go into Europe, but I don't think they're coming back in a hurry. Were you there when, I think you were already gone? Did you go on by 77 when we got that FA Cup win over Spurs and Peter Sayer got that goal?
Yeah, I'd gone to they sold me to Tampa Bay in America. Yeah.
Did you see that? Because that was shown at the start of Match of the Day for ages.
Of
That
course.
Peter
Yeah.
Sayer goal was
Yeah.
always on there.
Is Peter still around Cardiff or not?
I don't know. No. I think he might
Because
be. I don't know.
I went back to England for a while in Preston, as I said, and I was running a health club, Trimline Health Club, and Peter Sayers was a free member.
Oh yeah.
A free member. So we used to knock around together in Preston while he was still playing for Preston North End. We used to have a couple of beers together. Yeah.
It's that one goal I remember him for, really.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's the only bloody one he scored. I kept telling him.
He didn't score many, actually, did he? But he was.
I kept reminding him, Peter, you need to start scoring. Yeah, when he was at Preston.
When you went back out to when you went to the States, obviously, you hooked up again with Franz Beckenbauer, and of course, and you mentioned that he still couldn't understand why you hadn't gone to Germany, even which is lovely, really. Yes. All those years later, but you had a kind of an ongoing kind of friendship, I suppose, and mutual respect. Did you with Franz Beckenbauer?
Yeah, I think it was the 2006 World Cup was held in Germany again. I seem to recall, and he came to Australia. He came to Australia. I don't know what year it was, but I'm sure it was something like that. Yeah, he came to Australia, so I was invited to go to the. It was like a promotional tour for the World Cup for him, and he was the patron of Germany and stuff. So anyway, they invited me to go up, as with most of the Australian players. So anyhow, we got into this venue, and Franz Beckenbauer was signing all the players' shirts. So I've got mine, and I said to him, Franz, sign my shirt for me. I said, because you didn't do it before. And he went, oh, I'll do it later. And he just kept putting it off. And he just kept walking away. And I'm thinking, you rude bastard, you know what I mean? Don't do that. It's not nice, Anyway, we went upstairs, and then he started his spiel, and he had this video, and it's showing the preparations for the next World Cup. And then it showed Australia playing against Germany from our World Cup in 1974. And he said, I've got a special guest this evening. And he brought me up on stage. And he had my own DVD. He gave it to me, and it's showing me dribbling around him 3 or 4 times, kept repeating it. He did. It was really, really nice. So he signed the shirt, and we had photographs together, and we were on the back page of all the papers and stuff. So it was very, very nice. Yeah.
Awesome. Great respect. I mean, to have that from one of the greatest footballers probably who's ever lived is just, that is special. Isn't it? Special. You moved on then, of course, into coaching, and one of the first people I think you got involved with is Terry Hurley, who I think is one of the hardest men who's ever lived.
Yeah, Terry Hurley.
Frightening, terrifying character.
Yeah, he was hard. Yeah. And actually, when I knew him before, we went to the World Cup, and then coming back to Australia and so on again, that's when we started. So we just sort of, got together again, sort of thing, and we started doing the things. But I played against him once. I was playing for St. George, and he was playing for the club here where we live now, down on the south coast. And he just wanted to kick me all day.
Yeah. Was it Millwall he was at? Was it Millwall? Was he?
I don't know. I don't know his English.
He's known as being a terrifying player, but so that was his kind of calling card, though, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah, of course, straight away. Yeah.
Do you obviously did he terrify the players when he was coaching? Was that his thing?
No, he was all right off the field. Yeah. So but I didn't really get it. I didn't get a good look at him as a player. It was only, probably the one game I played against him when I was at St. George and there. After that, you're moving to overseas. So yeah, it was after he'd finished that we got coaching together.
But you went on to great success as a manager, actually, especially I suppose the Port Kembla thing, where you took them from kind of nowhere and great things.
From a lower league, and then It's the most successful club, even to this date, in the Premier League. So, that's our area. As I said, Australia's a big country. So if you say we're sort of called the Illawarra, so you have to go the Illawarra, you would be 200 miles that way and then 100 miles that way, down to the left. The whole area on the coast is the Illawarra. So you can have teams from all that area. It's quite a big, a vast area. So
you're one of the most successful managers, aren't you? You're one of the most successful managers, aren't you, Adrian?
Yeah,
pretty well
in that league.
Yeah.
Not in the National League or the other stuff, but in that league, which was the Illawarra Premier League. Yeah.
What was your secret as a manager then? What made you such a good manager, do you think?
I think the good thing was, after all my international football and seeing different managers, how they work, and stuff like that. So I take little bits from here and there, and also I had my own ideas about, the game is about winning, and a lot of people, if somebody tells me about, we play the best football, but we got beat 1-0, but we had 98% possession. We had 98% possession. Mine was about winning. Let's win the game first, then we'll play the football. Then we'll start, being able to have time to knock it here and there and play and be smart and all this carry on, Play it short. If the team was dropping off us, play it short at the back. As soon as they're squashing us, then you knock it over the top and then away we go, But from Jimmy Andrews, like I gave you that point when we played Crystal Palace, and I did that many, many times when we were going away somewhere or playing in one of these state cups against higher leagues, and we'd go and play, and I'd do that. I'd play with the two strikers on the wings, and we'd squash the middle, back off, and let them come at us. So, and then we got the gaps behind. So I did that. Yeah.
So listening to you speak, and I'm thinking of a guy who's 2 or 3 years older than you. I think he's 3 years older than you, actually. Neil Warnock. Right. So Neil Warnock is 71 now. He was well thought of in his time at Cardiff City. Very old school manager. Hearing you say that about, never mind 98% possession, let's get the points in the bag. I'm sure that's the kind of thing Neil Warnock would have totally agreed with. But I'm sure he's one of those.
But I didn't play like that. I definitely didn't play like that.
No.
But otherwise, my striker would have been knackered. We've got to get him some quality passes.
Yeah.
Being a striker myself, I always try to work on when we're going to give him the ball. This is not for him to fight against 4 other players. Because when I played for Australia, it was like that many games. I'm the lone striker. Playing for Luton Town, similar, because you're the lone striker playing against the best in Britain at the time. And the only balls you're going to get is like to go for a fight with somebody to try and do that, So I definitely tried to give my striker something of a bit of quality. Give him a few touches as well. Let him drop off a little bit. Let him keep touching the ball. Otherwise, you just keep running, never touch the ball. And eventually, you stop your running, and you stop doing the right things. But it depends. It depends your quality of your team. If you haven't got the players to be able to do those things, you have to find other ways to use them in the best possible way. And Neil Warnock, he had to do that because it's the quality of the players. You can only do so much.
Yeah.
So then you play accordingly.
The only reason I was mentioning Neil Warnock was I'm not comparing you because I don't know your kind of style as a manager, but you've made it clear what your style of manager is. I'm just saying, he's 71, he's still doing it. He's currently got Middlesbrough. They're just outside the playoffs. You're obviously very happy with your family life from this and the other, but I'm sure you must have plenty of offers. Can you give it one more go? Do they come through now and again?
I've finished. I finished coaching. I wouldn't know how many years it is now. It's quite a number. But since my grandson started playing, all I do now is watch them play. So I can't do both on a Saturday.
Nope.
It's they are very important for me to go and watch. So coming up from juniors to what they're doing now, and it's they're nice young men. There's the quality about them. They're not going to make a higher grade, but they are gentlemen. They've been well brought up by my son, and with the greatest respect of anything. And they just send me all sorts of stuff, taking the mickey out of me, and always asking me, "Did you see that today? Did you?" They're asking me all the time for help. So I showed them the respect, and I watch them in every game.
Yeah. Well, that's lovely too. And you seem very happy, and like you appreciate you've had an amazing career, and and you've got everything you kind of need, which is
I'm still working.
Yeah. Well, of course you are. Yeah. The Disability Trust, of course. Yeah.
That's right.
So
35 years. Yeah.
Tell me about that then, Adrian. What's your kind of role there, and what kind of things you achieve there?
I work in independent living with a group of people who they live on their own. They've got no family. They are mild to moderate intellectual disability. So it's just help with everything really, with the budget, with the medical, with the hygiene, with doing everything, and their whole life really, So I work with 6 people, and I see 2 hours a day, 3, 4 of them, and probably 3-4 times a week and stuff like that. But I started off. A guy rang me up, and he said, "I work with people who have an intellectual disability, and I wondered, could you come to the indoor soccer and give us a coaching session?" And I said, "Who are you?" And he said, "My name's Arnie Ulbrich." German background, but and I said, "Well, I don't know who you are." And he said, "I know who you are." I said, "You bloody play for Australia and everything." He said, "Come and give us a hand." So I said, "Okay."
Yeah.
So I did, and I went down, and then I did this for a couple of weeks, showed them, especially, the goalkeeper, where to stand when the play's going down that side, push over to the left post, and so on, and the defenders and all that. And I said, "Well, when's the next game?" He said, "We play in normal competition with normal people." And I said, "You'll get smacked." And he said, "Of course we do." He said, "I play with them." So I thought to myself, I'll have a game. So next minute, I had a couple of games. And of course, you can see we let a couple of goals in, so I get the ball and one back. Yeah. And I do it time and time again, one back. So we started, I only had a couple of weeks like that because they played twice a week in the local competition, third division or whatever it was, played in this thing. So anyway, next minute I saw the job in the paper. It was a sport and rec officer at the Disability Trust. I didn't know this was the Disability Trust. So next minute I thought I'd enjoy doing that, So I applied, and it's the bloody same bloke.
Yeah.
Well, that was it. Yeah. I started off, and in I think 1990, the Barcelona Olympics, 5 of my indoor team played for Australia.
Wow.
In the Paralympics, yeah.
Wow. Amazing.
5. Amazing. And from that, I went on, and then the sport finished because you get too old to do that and be playing with them and stuff. And so I just do the support now and everything like that, which I've got a lovely job, and I didn't think I'd find anything after football that would please me.
And you got no intention of retiring by the sound of it?
No, honestly, I've not. I'm sure everybody thought 65, he's gone for sure, but no, do a bit of salary sacrifice for the superannuation and all that, give some to the kids, making sure that everybody's okay. But my kids are doing well. They both got lovely homes and everything like that. I'm in the little toy one, and and they've got the big homes. Both my kids. No, they're doing all right.
Well, you got a sizable clock behind you, and I can see it's getting time for you to
bedtime. Yeah.
But just before you go, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you. I really,
and you too.
So nice to talk to you.
You made it really easy for me. Thank you.
No, you got so much to say. You had a fantastic career, Yeah. Just looking back for the last time on your time with Cardiff City. I mean, we've talked about it a few times today. We had a final message for the fans or anything, or kind of looking back on your time in Wales. Or?
It was the most enjoyable time And with the greatest respect to my teammates, and the supporters, apart from playing for Australia, it was the most enjoyable time I've had in football. And it for them to welcome me like they did, all the supporters and the players, everything, made some wonderful, wonderful friends, and still have. Still, as I said, you know, John Antrobus is there. I still ring him up and stuff like that. It's like, I'll never forget that. I'll never forget. And my daughter's Welsh, and it's forever ingrained. It's like I'm part of it. I always will be. I'll be part of Cardiff City forever. And I thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Adrian. That's lovely. And thanks for your time, and continue enjoying life, and, you know, doing everything I wish I was doing.
Yeah. And to the Cardiff City supporters here, Bluebirds down under. Fantastic. Thanks, guys.